And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, here we are again, another day committed to being your consumer advocate, helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got a great lineup for you today. We got Jordan Bowman and Dan Fica representing the AC guy of Tampa. Anthony Rickman's in the house as well, the Rickman Law Firm. And Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, longtime friend of the program and a real estate and mortgage expert, finance expert here on the Consumer Quarterback Show coming up. I want to let you know about some of our listings, but also I've got a quick motivational minute. This one's from the late and great John Wooden. You remember John, the basketball coach, very successful basketball coach. The great coach John Wooden was never really concerned so much about what his opposition as he was concerned about what his team was doing, and they do well. So focusing on what they do well. Madden told CBS Sports during the National League wild card game, so this was back when the Chicago team won, and he says, I really subscribe to that theory. Let's worry about what we do well and make sure we do that. And so while his team scouts and crew studied every detail of their matchup, Madden followed Wooden's philosophy on focusing on what his team does well and wouldn't sweat the rest. He said, I used to be a copious notes guy, but no longer, he says. It's a bad way to live, man. It really is. That's an interesting quote from Coach Madden. But yeah, John Wooden would be happy knowing his teachings are still influencing to this day, and what a great coach he was. So there's your motivational minute here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we want to let you know about a couple of hot listings here in Tampa Bay. We got a property at 5014 Pompano Drive. This one's back on the market. We had buyers fall out due to debt ratio. Sometimes that stuff happens, but this one's back on the market. Beautiful property. 5014 Pompano Drive, Newport Richey, 1684 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. Got waterfront home, bay access. Bring your boat, bring your jet skis. It's got a pool home here. Beautifully remodeled, well done remodel here. Going to go back under contract very soon, I'm sure. But you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
And a quick shout out to Veteran Gutters. Brandon Porter and his team at Veteran Gutters. They do such a great job. Residential, commercial. Now, he's also a veteran, of course. He served our great country. So please support our local economy by supporting Veteran Gutters and make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got Anthony Rickman in the house. I'm going to get a quick intro from you. Give us a little teaser of what we're going to talk about today, Anthony.
Hey, Brandon. Thanks for having me. We're talking about locally. We got the Seminole Heights trial. Big ruling out of the 2nd District Court of Appeals talking about what type of evidence can come into that trial, something called prior bad act evidence or Williams rule evidence. The 2nd District Court of Appeals is allowing evidence of all of the other shootings to come into each individual case, even though he hasn't been convicted of those shootings. So that's interesting. Talk about in the federal level, a couple big blows to the government this week in their prosecutions regarding what they consider to be right-wing extremism. We saw a not guilty verdict in the for 2 of the defendants in Michigan who were accused of setting a plot to kidnap the governor. And we saw a big not guilty verdict for the first time in a January 6th case, where a judge found one of the defendants not guilty. And then also, we got the other side of the federal government doing something that I think is in the best interest of the government and the country, is that prosecuting the shooter of Brooklyn in federal court.
Right.
Seeking no bond, seeking detention, I think possibly seeking the death penalty, which is why I think this case was removed to federal court.
Good. Make an example of them. That's great. All right, Anthony Rickman coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to go to the phones now. Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage. Diane, a lot of people are noticing it's a competitive market. Should they be bidding over asking price?
They should. Now, the reason being, and I'll explain that, is there's a couple things I want to talk about. Housing forecast. The forecast is rent will continue to rise. Increases remain above 5%. Pushing many people to see the benefit in buying. So the forecast is that that it's going to be a strong year. There's extremely tight inventory. That's what's causing bidding over asking price. And mid to high single-digit appreciation. The reason you want to bid over asking, let's say we have a $420,000 current value, or people 6 months ago or a year ago, right? and the current asking is $425. So, the total bid is $445. So they went bid over asking price, $20,000. And in 6 months, that same home with the forecast appreciation that happened, it was appreciated by $113,443. So more than what they actually bid because of the appreciation. Even though appreciation they're expecting to actually be, the appreciation is expecting to be, mid to high single digits. So they're talking about probably 5 to 10%, 9.9%. And even with that same situation, so if somebody is looking at bidding over asking, I have a program that will actually go in and look at what is the value of the house now and what in 6 months or a year or 5 years or whatever will that house be worth. So that will answer whether or not you want to bid over over an asking price. So
right.
In this situation, the forecast appreciation outweighs bidding over.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you look at what is your exit strategy? Are you there long term? Like that comes into play as well. But yeah, that's great. I love that content. And when you look at, I've got a printout here also of homeowner equity gains, and Florida has $76,000 year over year equity gains, so $76,000. Other states, let's say Texas is $45,000. Another hot market, North Carolina, $59,000. Again, it's year over year equity gain, and even surprisingly, California is showing $117,000 equity gain. So it's interesting to see the different markets and how that's happening. So equity is that cash that's accessible essentially. Based on what you owe versus what the property's valued at and in the open market.
Yeah, and this forecast appreciation was New Jersey, so that's a high cost area. But it's that similar situation is going to be anywhere in the last year or so because you had such appreciation in real estate, and it's going to continue. And a lot of people are always concerned about how are we going to have a bubble? Everybody asks me that all the time, and I'm like, well, no, right. I don't think so. Don't think that's going to happen, especially with the appreciation we're having. But the difference is, in 2007, we had an oversupply almost, and we had 3 million fewer homes, and now we have 14 million more households in 2021 than we did in 2007. So the builders haven't kept up in the last 10 years. They've not kept up with the demand. So it's not good. So the appreciation is going to continue based on the history of what happened from that time and the history in the whole entire last 40 years. So and everybody's concerned about a recession, right? So if we have a recession, it's a 50-50 chance is what the speakers were stating last night. And the housing usually stays strong through recessions. They always do. And
right.
It actually causes interest rates to actually blip back down. So the way the Fed works and the way the government works is they try to control the inflation by increasing rates. And once that happens, sometimes that may cause a recession. Nobody knows. If it does, it's usually, by the time we actually know, we're actually out of it because what is it, 2 quarters, changes to be able to say it was a recession. So we're already through it normally. So, but that's normally what happens. Nobody knows if that's going to happen, but right now they're more concerned with controlling inflation because of not just the pandemic, but the war and everything else. So a lot of things are happening. The supply chain, there's a perfect storm basically. And, but this too shall pass. It's interesting because, they talk about the 33-year-old that the millennials are what is buying today. And that is actually at the highest level since the baby boomers. Wow. So it's the level of 33-year-olds today, are higher than when baby boomers bought in 1960, in that area, 1955, 1960, they're almost identical. So what happens is that people are renting and in order to, but they want to buy, and the millennials they're the ones that watched their parents, during that crash. But now that we're kind of seeing appreciation and they want to build wealth, that's the only way to build wealth. You're just building a landlord's wealth if you're renting. And like they said, rents are going to continue to rise.
Yeah, that's right. And we've seen that. We've seen that over the last 8 to 10 years I've been doing this radio show. And if you just joined us, we're talking with Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, DianeVance.com. You can find her online. She can do a rent versus own analysis for you as well. If you're thinking, hey, I am renting, I keep hearing about buying, you can call into the hotline, 813-917-1894. Just call or text our hotline, 813-917-1894. And we'll put together a rent versus own analysis for you. And that way you can kind of see on paper what you're paying in rent, what you could be financing through a mortgage, and kind of leveraging. Again, you're leveraging other people's money. You're getting into an appreciating asset. It's also an asset class that you can insure. There's so many reasons why, tax incentives and more, and just quality of life, and just that knowing that you own a home, that your hard-earned money is going into something where you're building up appreciation and you're building that that legacy for your family. So yeah, Diane, and so rents are going up, rents are rising. There's very limited inventory. There's multiple bid situations. What can people do to compete?
Well, I'll tell you, we just came out with a program, and I will send it to you, is that Fairway came out with, for sellers, it's if a buyer, of course, they have to qualify and do all those type things, we will actually buy the house if we do not close on time. So it's a cash guarantee for a seller. We have that program, and it should be out within the week, actually.
Wow,
so
that's
I
cool.
will send you the information on that. And the customer has to get fully approved with us, which we do what is called an Advantage Plus program. They don't actually have a property yet. They go ahead and get approved, and it's a full approval. We went through everything. The only thing we need is appraisal. We need, title and homeowners insurance and things like that. And as long as that customer's done their financial, given us what we need, we will actually do an addendum to contract that Fairway will purchase a home up to $1 million.
Nice. That's awesome. And you're going to have the appraisal, so you're going to know what it's worth. So
Correct.
It's a smart program. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's a new program, and we're trying to help buyers actually have, go ahead and get their loans accepted by sellers.
In the event that happens and you do step in and buy the property, do you you rent it to the person for fair market rent, or how does that work?
It depends on what the situation is. So if for some reason something happened at the end, let's say that we didn't meet the closing date because maybe the buyer, who knows, maybe he lost his job a week before. So what we'll do is buy it and actually sell it back to that buyer.
Cool.
Once
Perfect.
he gets a position.
Smart program.
It's an interesting program. So we are doing that, and then we're partnering with another company. Matter of fact, I have a call next week to do an appraisal gap program. So Fairway is always in the leading edge to be able to offer things to be able to give customers the advantage to be able to get home.
Yeah, that's very unique. I saw one last month where I had a listing. It was a lot of offers, and then I had this program. I won't say the name because it's I guess somewhat a competitor, but they came in and it was very similar. Appraisal gap plus they'll pay it cash if that person does not qualify. And when I first got they sent a text and then an email, and then I finally got a call from somebody. But when I first got the text message, I said, "What? This looks like spam. What is this? This looks like." So I'm not going to click that link, but it ended up being a legit program, kind of similar to
it's
what you're
probably the
explaining.
same program I'm talking about.
Okay, well it's through a third party, so I didn't want to say the name, but so that's awesome. Diane Vance, local lender, support the local economy here in Tampa Bay, and thank you so much for those that have called last week and the previous weeks. I mean, we're getting an uptick in calls lately, so everybody's really supporting the show. They love the local flair that we have. Not many other shows are based here in Tampa Bay locally to our 5 or 10 county region here in South Florida and the Gulf Coast region of Florida. So we appreciate you supporting Diane Vance. You can find her online, DianeVance.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage. She's a regional manager as well. So she's got about 30, 40 folks that work with her kind of on her team. And Diane, what else are you seeing out there?
Well, I am seeing, just like you are, competitive market, but this program that program is for conventional FHA or NBA, but all of those. So we might get some of our veterans properties accepted.
Nice. Okay, so you got VA, FHA, conventional for that program.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah. So, but that's what we're hoping to see. Still need no inventory.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us here, Diane. We greatly appreciate it. And you want folks to go to your website there, dianevance.com?
That's right.
Perfect.
And, or give me a call at 727-647-8199, and I can certainly help you either go in and see what your cost of appreciation will be on, based on what reality is, right now, or we can set you up to get you pre-approved so you can get that program.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we'll take a quick break here. When we come back, we got criminal defense attorney Anthony Rickman in the house. We're going to talk about the Seminole Heights serial killer, some of the cases happening out of state as well, Michigan case. You got the D.C. cases, January 6th cases as well, and also the New York shooter that just happened. So going to catch you up on that stuff happening in the criminal defense side of things here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. We are part of the luxury division. And just sold got a really hot property that went really fast, over $1 million, $1.2 million list price, under contract well over that. So our luxury division, commercial division as well, and also part of the sports and entertainment, newly formed sports and entertainment division for Keller Williams Realty. We got a hot listing here in Tampa Bay. This one's a commercial property in South Tampa, 4220 West Pearl. This is a commercial property, so attention business owners, contractors, check out this property here. You've got about a little over half acre lot. Down in South Tampa, south of Gandy there, 4220 West Pearl Avenue. 1,200 square foot building, so you've got your office space there. And then, of course, if you're a contractor, outdoor-based business, you've got a great spot to put all your equipment and trucks and trailers and all that type of stuff. Great opportunity at 4220 West Pearl Avenue in Tampa. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, a quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars right here in Tampa Bay. They got the Easy Go Star EV Cushman. They also have newer pre-owned, and you can rent or buy. And they also offer financing and mobile repair, Tampa, Clearwater locations as well. Check them out online. Talk to Ethan Luster and Marty at discoverygolfcars.com. Make sure you let them know their real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got criminal defense attorney Anthony Rickman in the house. Anthony, welcome back. Thanks for coming in and give us some insights on all these cases. I've got some good notes here. We got 5 cases to talk about, so we've got to go kind of quickly on these.
A lot going on in the world, huh?
A lot, man. A lot of stuff that that shouldn't even be cases apparently. But let's start locally here. Then let's start Seminole Heights killer, serial killer. You mentioned something about the evidence.
Yeah, so when we talk about that case that's coming up, and the cases aren't set for trial yet, but there's a lot of pretrial litigation going on. There was litigation recently about the death penalty. The public defender's office tried to get the judge to come off the death penalty, and the court said no. The state's seeking death. They have a good faith basis to seek death. They've set the parameters, and they've noticed you properly, and the state can seek the death penalty. So now we have a very high-profile death penalty case where a very, very serious set of circumstances and acts of a serial killer in our backyard. And with a serial killer, what's important is the commonality of all those crimes.
Right.
And what the state has attempted to do in those cases is use the evidence of all the shootings in each individual case. Originally, the state of Florida wanted to try all the defendants, all the cases together, all the victims together, one case, all 4 victims, and have one trial, saying that, having all these small trials, it's a waste of judicial resources. All the cases are so common, let's try them all together.
Interesting.
The court ruled that he's entitled to separate trials. It's something that we see often in our cases. We were severing cases, and that's what the court did. What the state wanted to still do is use the evidence of all the shootings in the evidence of each trial. And originally, the judge said, no, you have to look at the facts of each individual case. The facts are distinct in each case. And the state of Florida appealed. And the state won their appeal recently. And just a couple weeks ago, the court reversed the lower court's ruling, or our local court's ruling, indicating now that the state of Florida can use the evidence of those other shootings in each individual case. What the court said is, you think it's common sense, right?
It makes sense.
Same gun. Same location,
Yeah.
Same common scheme or plan or modus operandi. It's
Yeah.
used to prove identity. And because of how similarly situated each shooting is,
Yeah.
when we talk about a serial killer, the state is now allowed to use evidence of each crime in each individual case. And that is a huge blow to the defense.
Makes sense.
As a defense attorney, the last thing you want to hear is the jury talking about all these other cases, all these other murders.
Yeah.
I mean, once you start, you're stacking the deck against this defendant. In this case, potentially rightfully so. But it's a big blow to the defense in this case.
You said public defender, right?
Yes.
I thought sometimes they call them public pretenders. I'm kidding.
Look, as a private attorney, I can pick and choose some of my cases.
Yeah.
Some of them, public defenders can't.
Yeah.
They're giving their clients, this is what you got. And,
Yeah.
they
think
get
about
that.
that. Think about that also, just from a standpoint of being, in America. The fact that you're going to have someone represent you, no matter how heinous of a crime, or if you had a simple DUI or whatever. The United States is going to say, hey, we're going to spend our resources and allocate our resources to giving somebody a proper defense. And they may not be the best of the, but they're kind of entry level. Is what I understand.
Yeah. Well, look, there are some very, very good public defenders out there.
Right.
You have, obviously some who aren't. It's like there are very good private attorneys,
They're newer,
and there's
they're learning, right?
some bad private attorneys. Not
Right.
everyone's Anthony Rickman.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? So you
That's
have, different levels. And when you talk about our system of justice, our system of law, you want a trial done right. You want
Right.
good representation, whether it be from private attorney or public defender's office. Look, John Adams represented the shooters
Yeah.
in the Boston Massacre.
Right.
Because he believed in our justice system.
That's right.
And that's what our system is based upon. You don't have to love your clients.
Yeah,
You
right.
don't have to love your case. But everyone has a right to a defense. And people ask me, hey, how do you sleep at night defending people you defend, killers, alleged rapists, people do this? Because everyone has a right to a defense.
Yeah.
And it's easy to point a finger at a defense attorney until you're sitting on the other side wrongfully accused.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah, and it comes down to the process. If you prove during the process that this happened or that did not happen, then hey, that's the truth. That's the facts. That's the idea of justice.
without it, and it's up to the government to prove it. It's up
Right.
to the government to prove every fact beyond reasonable doubt. You look at recently, we talk about those DC cases.
Yeah.
The government, they thought they had this case recently. They went in front of a judge instead of a jury. And the DC cases are going to trial now, almost a year later. We had our first trial, and the defendant was found, on the first trial, found guilty in front of a jury. And in that particular case, the defendant was accused of bringing a stick in, assaulting officers, and the jury found him guilty. 2 weeks later, there was another guy who goes into D.C., into the Capitol, no violence, just walks through the doors, waved in by the cops, not guilty.
Yeah.
Big blow to the government.
Wow. Yeah. And the Michigan case is very interesting, too. We're going to talk about that when we come back. More with criminal defense attorney Anthony Rickman here, the Rickman Law Firm. Check him out online, therickmanlawfirm.com. And we'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram, Twitter, and Getter, and YouTube, Brandon Rhymes Realty. We'll be right back.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Five, four, three, two, one. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. And we like to feature our real estate listings live on air here. We got a property at 4823 Ebbtide Lane. This is a penthouse available in Newport Richey, number 405. Ebbtide Lane, number 405. Beautiful property here. Port Richey, Florida, 1,100 square feet. You got 1 bedroom, 2 bath, easily converted back to a 2 bedroom. But this is a penthouse. You got views on from 3 different balconies, 270-degree views from this property that's on the Cody River. Gorgeous property, great opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
All I've got's love for love's sake.
All right, we got attorney Anthony Rickman in the house, and we've got a lot to cover here, so we're going to jump right into it. Michigan case, not guilty. You hear terms thrown around like entrapment, and they're leading these folks into a certain situation. And of course, it was in October, right before the election. Hey, this could be some good PR publicity type press for that government type of person.
Well, without a doubt, that's a big right wing conspiracy,
Yeah.
and that fell right into the the narrative that the left was pushing. The right wing's dangerous. They're going to go commit all this extreme action, and lo and behold, it was actually our government planted within these organizations, firing people up, inciting and potentially entrapping people to commit crimes they wouldn't normally commit.
Right.
And in this case, the jury acquitted 2 of the defendants, the 2 alleged ringleaders. Hung jury. The government's indicated they're going to retry them. But the question is when does the government overreach? When is it a crime versus when is it something that the government's created? And that's why we have entrapment laws.
Right.
And we see how entrapment, not just on this case, but in a lot of other cases, how it lures people and how people get found not guilty.
Yeah.
Look, the government can't create a crime. They can't provide all the instrumentality to commit a crime. They
Right.
can't incite someone or lure someone to commit a crime just for the sole purpose of then having that person tried and convicted of a crime.
Right.
And you see it a lot, and you see it in this case, but you see it a lot in those sex sting cases. I've been successful in litigating entrapment motions to dismiss on the grounds the government created the crime, where someone's saying, no, I don't really want to engage in this behavior, and the government continues, well, come on, let's do this. And
Wow.
if the person's not predisposed to commit the crime,
Right.
meaning that they're not intending to do it, they never wanted to do it, they never did it before, and then the government then plants the seed of impropriety in your head.
Right.
Gives you the ability and mode to commit that crime.
Yeah.
And then that crime occurs, that's entrapment.
So they're saying something to the effect like, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm underage, but you could meet me over here." And so they're constantly setting it up, trying to set the stage for that. And then the person says no, but then they keep on.
Well, one of the things that I see in these cases, and you talk about these sexting cases, that law enforcement sometimes, they send photos to the defendants. And these photos are of adults. And they say, oh, by the way, I'm under the age of 18. They create Facebook profiles that have ages of 18. Oh, by the way, I'm under the age of 18. And now you're essentially tricking this person to engage in conversation. Look, anyone who's prudent, everyone who has a brain, if the moment they say, hey, I'm under the age of 18, you stop.
Right.
And look, at the end of the day, some of these investigations are good. They have a legitimately good purpose.
Yeah.
But they have to be conducted in the right way. And they have to
Wow.
get the sharks, not these little minnows.
Right.
And we see a lot of these cases where you see a sexting or you see this alleged sexting, and a lot of cases go away.
Yeah.
We hear the press conference, but we don't see the result.
Right.
Because sometimes the tactics of law enforcement overreach the bounds of the law.
Yeah, and that's what John Long from the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking said before. He said a lot of times their conviction, and then the other fact is too, if it's a someone that was the victim, they have to get on the stand, look across the courtroom at the person that they're saying created this act or committed this heinous crime against them. So to me, it's like, wow, couldn't they maybe put that person on a TV monitor in another room? Especially if it's almost, not proven, but you kind of see what happened. This bad person did this to this young innocent child, or whatever, right? Defendant.
Well, you're talking about two different cases. So on the sexting cases, that victim, 90% of the time is a 42-year-old police officer.
Right.
It's a man getting on there posing as a child. Now, the cases where you have a real victim, a live victim, a victim of sex trafficking, we have something called the Confrontation Clause, and that allows a defendant to confront the accused through counsel. And that's why that victim has to take the stand as a live person. And look, it's powerful to a jury to have that person, as a prosecutor, point out the defendant in court and say, that's the man who assaulted me, that's the man who abused me. But at the same time, when you have a case like that, they're subject to cross-examination. That's what our system of law is about.
Cross-examination, yeah. And then hopefully the truth comes out. We're talking with attorney Anthony Rickman here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. And, so we talked about the Michigan case. We kind of touched on the D.C. case as well. The January 6th case is going on. These how many defendants roughly? And they've been in there for, 18 months now?
Right now, there's over 800 defendants charged.
Jeez.
And the majority of the charges, are misdemeanors. They're punishable by up to a year of incarceration on each count. And what we hear is we see these big cases, but most of the cases are people just going into the Capitol. And that not guilty verdict, it was somebody who went into the Capitol. The video shows police weighing him in, and the court talked about intent. And you have to have the intent to disrupt, the intent to enter. And if someone's walking in following the crowd actually being waved in by Capitol Police, that's a defense. And now we see that defense raised in at least one case, and the judge found him not guilty on the grounds.
Wow. It's interesting. It really is. And it was people and the way that not to get too far into the political thing of it, but the way that the Cheneys and the Romneys and the whole kind of rhino Republicans are using this is like, oh, look we told you how bad they were. Look at this. And now let's blow this up. And you got the January 6th committee. What about when they're asking, high level people, Trump and Barr and these different people to come in? Don't they have executive privilege?
Yeah. I've actually had clients who've been involved in the committee process, so I have intricate knowledge of how it works. Clients who were charged in January 6th, and clients of mine, who have been involved or subpoenaed through these proceedings. So, the reach of Congress is very wide. Congressional subpoenas, there's no real court authority. You receive a congressional subpoena, what you'd have to do in those circumstances, not show up, and then Congress files a motion to have you held in contempt, and then you go to court to litigate it.
Okay.
So you talk about a process, and there is a large reach of Congress. And a lot of these people have been subpoenaed, these political leaders, people who have voluntarily given testimony. A lot of it is because it's on a voluntary basis because they don't want to go through that public, process of contesting a subpoena.
Sure.
And a lot of them want to be heard. A lot of people want to go in and tell the committee their thoughts and feelings and what's going on. And we see the reach of the committee because the committee is not designed to prosecute.
Right.
DOJ does that.
Right.
This committee is creating a report to then provide to Congress to then make findings to what they say prevent this from happening again.
Right.
And find out why this was caused. So this committee has a long and broad reach as what they're actually looking at in conducting their investigation.
And it seems like the clock might run out to November anyways.
Who knows when this is going to end? I think the narrative will keep going until November.
We've got about a minute and a half left here. So New York shooter in federal court now. Yes. Why is that a big deal?
A couple of reasons. Number one, New York State does not have a death penalty. In federal court, he can be executed. Number two, the government is going to attempt to have him held on no bond. New York's bail reform, New York's bond system, I don't think he'd be ever released, but it's a weak bond system. Number three, he's a terrorist. Call him what he is.
Right.
And under our federal laws, you could prosecute terrorists in federal court. And what he did was an act of terrorism, it was an act of murder, and that's why the federal government has picked up this case. The laws are stronger in federal court than in the state of New York. The ability to execute him and the ability to hold him with no bond until his trial, and most likely for the rest of his life or until he comes out in a box.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of times, these weak DAs, soft on crime DAs, that's the problem that we're having in these big, cities like Chicago, New York, LA, and the snatch and grabs. Like there's no fear of being prosecuted in those cases.
No, New York is turning into what it was pre-Giuliani.
Right.
We're talking about a new era in New York where the streets are bad. You can't walk in the streets of New York. There's
Right.
There's violence, there's guns, there's crime left and right, and one of the reasons is they're doing catch and release.
Yeah.
People are getting arrested, law enforcement's doing their job, and they're not. The DAs, the prosecutor's office, is not enforcing the laws as they are written, and they're letting these people out to continue to commit crimes. Look at this guy who shot up the Brooklyn subway.
Right.
He told everyone what he was going to do. He's posting on Facebook. He's posting on social media. He has a YouTube channel.
Jeez.
He was on the government's radar, but obviously he hasn't watched close enough. Maybe they're watching other people, alleged right-wing extremists,
much.
closer than they should watch these, other side of the spectrum
Exactly.
terrorists.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you've seen that, time after time again with even like 9/11. I remember these guys were flying down in Venice. They're saying, "Oh no, we don't care about landing it. Just teach us how to take off."
Well, look, the government can't be, psychics. They don't know what the skep people are going to do, but they
Right.
have to be more, in certain situations, look closer.
Right.
And do your job beforehand. We don't want to be reactive. We want to be proactive in some of these prosecutions.
That's right.
And when someone's calling their shot, saying what they're going to do, maybe it takes a knock on the door to stop the person from committing the crime that this guy committed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Anthony Rickman, the Rickman Law Firm, therickmanlawfirm.com. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, taking a quick break. When we come back, we got Jordan Bowman in the house, Dan Fika as well, the AC guy of Tampa Bay here in studio, acguyoftampa.com, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And check out consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping you win buying, selling, or investing. We would love to talk to you. Reach out to the hotline. Anybody that you want to talk to on our roster, our team roster here. We've got all the best expert contributors, real estate, credit, finance, estate, and tax planning, great home service companies, providers that we're going to talk to here in just a moment with the AC guy of Tampa Bay. Reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. Just call or text that line, 813-917-1894. I got a property at 14663 Village Glen Drive, Carrollwood. This is a beautiful home. Great opportunity to own real estate here in Tampa Bay. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. And this is Carrollwood Village. Beautiful property, updated gourmet kitchen. You've got a really cool backyard here, screened-in pool, outdoor kitchen, as well as a spa. And 14663 Village Glen Drive in Tampa. Great opportunity. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right, welcome back in, Jordan Bowman. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Dan Fika, pleasure.
How you doing, man?
Awesome, doing great. Yeah, what's new in your world? What's happening out there? How are
Well,
things?
a lot of exciting things, actually. There's actually something I wanted to talk about today, so I'm glad you asked that.
Perfect.
We have a new platform right now that's actually, well, it's not super new, but it's been new in the past couple of months, so people aren't aware of it yet. But we now actually have the ability for you to schedule service through our online website.
Cool.
So there's like a little schedule now button, and you can schedule your maintenances, you can schedule service, and you can schedule estimates. And this is amazing because that's available 24/7. So if for some reason, you 1 p.m., you can call, you'll get someone, but you might not be able to get the time frame you want to schedule at that moment, but you can online. So it's a pretty cool platform if people are interested.
Some people love that. Some people just rather be online. They don't, or, hey, we're busy on the phone. You'll say, okay, let me pull up my computer over here.
Or you're at work, you have 15 minutes to do something. You're like, I need to get this done. You can do it online.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
So the online scheduling, that's great. You also have that VIP program that you offer?
Yes, we do.
What's that called again?
The VIP program.
VIP.
Yep.
Okay, I had it right. I got it right that time.
Yeah.
So the VIP program, you're able to basically prepay maintenance or have it built in.
Yeah, we kind of compare it to think of it as similar, not similar, but kind of similar to a gym membership. It's around the same price. It's $15 a month right now. And you get 2 free maintenances for that. So every 6 months we'll come out there, we'll do a maintenance. One's an inspection and one's a cleaning. So one's kind of more of like a basic and the other one's a little bit more in depth. And then we also offer you discounts on our service call fees, which is amazing because it doesn't matter when you call, during business hours, after hours, you get this discounted rate and 20% off parts and repairs. So it's pretty amazing. If I had a home, which I don't right now, but if I did, I would totally have it on my system.
Nice.
So.
All right. Yeah, good stuff. We got to get you into home
I
ownership.
know. The market right now, it's crazy.
I know, right? It's hard to navigate.
I know.
It really is. Dan, what are you seeing, man? Your position again is kind of overseeing.
I'm the field ops manager, so I kind of oversee pretty much everything that goes on in the field.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm still seeing a lot of callbacks from different companies, obviously not knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I keep running into that, man, continually. I'm getting called out for calls where it's, hey, come out, I need an estimate on some ductwork. Show up to the job and the machine's not running outside.
Wow.
So, well, how does this relate? Well, the guy before me said that my ductwork caused the problem, but it's been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
I said, man, there's no way, brother. It sounds like, you need to give us a call and come out and let us have a look at it.
Misdiagnosis. Big misdiagnosis, right?
Yeah, it's all the time, bro.
The doctor got it wrong.
All the time, man. Yeah.
So, speaking of that, we think about a lot about like contractor tips, things that people look at and see a lot of times because, homeowners, they're not experts in their different systems in their homes, the heating system, the cooling system, the roofing systems, et cetera. What can they look for in a contractor that, is kind of leading them down the wrong path?
A lot is confidence.
Yeah.
Typically we as people, we can kind of see when someone lacks the confidence or lack the skill,
Right.
So we got a lot of stuttering or some of the words just don't jive, right?
Right.
Typically, what people need to look for is, or what they should do is ask more questions.
Right.
And believe a lot less.
Open-ended questions.
Open-ended questions, man. And they're probably going to figure out what is the truth and what is not.
Right.
Or at least call multiple different sources,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because they can bring you out there and say, well, it's just not working. I don't know what it is. One contractor can go out and look at it and say, oh, well, you need a complete brand new system, going to be expensive. Then you might come out and say, well, actually, it's just this piece here. It's just that piece. You run into that
all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. All the time, man.
And normally, what is it that's burnt out on the inside of the unit?
So typically, what happens with air conditioners, you're going to get the drain line. The drain line's a big clog.
So it's clogging up,
It
backing
clogs
up.
all the time. Happens just before summertime rolls around because typically your system's running and heating, and therefore it will not produce condensation. Right. As soon as that system starts running, it's going to produce up to 20 gallons of water a day, and what has been sitting in that pipe has now become a big blockage or a dam in there. And as soon as that system produces condensation, it ends up shutting the system down.
So this is a good time of year then to run some bleach down there. Maybe I know bleach sometimes say, oh, well, that'll over time will corrode the pipe. But if you want to do it old school, bleach. But if not, do what?
I still stick with bleach. There's a science to that, man. Yeah. So the bleach will deteriorate the pipe if it sits, right?
Right.
So my theory behind that is the fact that if you only put bleach in the drain line when the system's running, right? So by the time you add vinegar or whatever a lot of people tell you to use, you put vinegar in there, it's diluted.
Right.
As soon as it hits that water, you're not doing pretty much any good.
Right.
You put the bleach down there, it's going to kill it quick because you can still dilute bleach with a little bit of water.
Right.
And it'll keep that thing nice and clean.
Right.
The next best thing is get a shop vac.
Get a shop vac and just hook it up and pull it through.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Every so often, if you're out mowing the lawn, obviously if you're capable, definitely, that's something you do. Hook up the shop vac outside where the condensate line is.
Yep.
That'll keep it nice and clean.
Nice. We're talking to the AC guy of Tampa Bay. We got Jordan Bowman in the house, Dan Fika in studio, and Jordan, back to you. So you're more on the office side, office experience, customer experience. Talk to us about that process and that flow when people.
Yeah. So what's really important to us is that our customers feel that we care for them, because we do. You know, like at the end of the day, it's like you're a human just like I'm a human. So we want to get you the best service we possibly can.
Right.
So in order to do that, we actually currently are doing training with all of our customer service representatives on like the best way to help a client, how the call flow should be. So it's actually changed within the last 6 months. So people might have noticed a difference in some of the words we use, some of the ways we like present, because it's important to us that people feel the fact that we're a family-owned, family-friendly company.
Right.
You know, we're not this corporation. We're not here trying to hurt anybody. We just want to help people.
Yeah.
So sometimes just the way we say things are really important. So that's something we've been working on a lot in our office. And I feel like it's been pretty noticed. I think people notice it. They'll respond. They're like, wow, like, you sound happy. I'm like, well, we are. Like, we try to be at least,
That's awesome.
you know?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because it boils down to whatever business you're in, you're in the people business, right? Because you got to deal with people every day. And, you know, and that's great. I love to hear that. You know, one of my first jobs out of school was at the Ritz-Carlton. So it was, you know, customer service to the max. You know, it's my pleasure to serve. And, you know, if somebody asked where the restroom was, you didn't just say, oh, yeah, go down there, turn left at the corner, and you actually walk them to the restroom, use that opportunity to build rapport with them, talk about their family, when are they going to come back and visit again, etc. But yeah, that first level of customer service, highest level of customer service is key. Yeah, it's very important.
It is.
So how's Greg doing?
He's doing really good. He's so busy, but he's great. He's happy.
Awesome. How many trucks you got out there on the road?
Let's see here.
Vans,
5
trucks.
I think 5
total.
I think 5 now.
5.
That's awesome.
We're growing.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I love it. You know, it's like it's a you know, capitalism at its best, right? I mean, it's a United States of America, great place to be, great place to own a company, start a company, be a part of a great company, and yeah, you know, I think that's the heart of America right now, is that middle of the road. You know, that middle income type of company. It's not the big corporations that get all the preferential handouts. You know, they're doing these ESG scores nowadays, and you know, some of that stuff that you see. The heart of America is that middle income, that small business, middle-sized business. So I just love to see businesses succeed.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool too, because actually I've been thinking about a lot recently, because my dad started the business in 2009. Like during the recession at that time. And obviously, as we all know, the economy is kind of crazy right now. Some people are thinking maybe we'll have it in again, maybe we won't.
I think we are.
Yeah, it does look that way. Yeah, and it's like, it's really interesting because that was, how many, 2009, I don't know math now, 11 years ago, 12 years ago? I don't know.
Close to that.
13.
Yeah, close to that.
Oh, man. Yeah, so 13 years ago, and now we're hitting that part again. And what's crazy is we actually had one of our most profitable months last month, which is crazy for our company and amazing. We're super happy about it. But it's just interesting, like, how sometimes that happens. It's like everything can be going crazy, but it's like, you know, if you do things ethically and you do your best, sometimes you'll find out that you really are rewarded, which is pretty cool.
Right, absolutely. We're talking about the AC guy of Tampa Bay here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Another great example of a local area business, local company here. Please support the show, support the local businesses that support our program here, and coming in and, you know, talking about the business. What other tips can you think of here? Contractor tips, things to do, things to avoid, you know, consumer advocate tips. You got any other?
What I would say is I run to a lot of customers tend to spend too much money on their filter because they believe what the filter says. You know, they think it's going to do all the above and so on and so forth, and it's truly not it. You know, there's a whole lot of factors that run into that.
Right.
So typically what I tell people is what they want is just a traditional pleated filter. You know, something you get at Home Depot, pick up, you know, whatever, $5 if you can find it cheaper, good, great. You know, the ones that are, you know, MERV, you know, 5 million or whatever, a very high MERV rating. You don't need to go through that because you're replacing the filter more often. And it's really not blocking what you think it's blocking.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we added that system also that does the air cleaning.
Yes.
You know, like I think it's some kind of a light system.
Oh, did you do the Remy or the MX4? Do you know which one?
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure which.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, it's
smart. Interesting. I'm pretty sure if it's the Remy, that one's really interesting because it creates ions in there, which causes things to stick together, which actually means you will have dirtier filters. But it's good because it's actually filtering it out versus
it's like grabbing it out of the air, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a good way to do it. You know,
it's a good product.
So
Yeah.
maintenance-wise, what other tips maintenance-wise?
At least once a year, if not more. Obviously, our
Okay.
VIP program is twice a year because we think that's better.
Yep.
But at least once a year because that's going to help catch any problems. It's going to keep it running. It's like you wouldn't drive your car without having an oil change.
Right.
You shouldn't run your AC system without having maintenance.
Right. What's the
So at least
equivalent? I
once.
remember one time Greg said, the equivalent, your air conditioning, how often it's running, right?
75,000 miles. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Without an oil change.
Essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
75,000
Yeah.
miles without an oil change
That's
is what
scary.
you would do a year. It's crazy. You would never
Yeah.
do that. So you shouldn't with your system. Please don't.
Yeah, exactly. Reach out to AC Guy of Tampa Bay. I got the VIP program, $15 a month.
Yeah.
Get the servicing once every 6 months. And then you get all the preferential treatment as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the last minute calls that you might need to make.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Well, thanks for coming in. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
What about social? They catch you online?
Yeah, acguyoftampa.com right now is our Facebook, and then we obviously are on Instagram and Facebook as well as, I believe, Twitter.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we're on Twitter too.
Cool. Be
Yeah.
interesting to see what happens with Twitter. They're talking about Elon might buy it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he put a bid in. We'll see. All right. Well, thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Always a pleasure. And hey, another great show. Want to thank all of our producers, our listeners, viewers out there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, by the way. You can see all of our previous shows, content, over 1,700 videos now on the YouTube page. It's Brandon Rhymes Realty on YouTube, at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors. And I want to thank Diane Vance, Anthony Rickman, Jordan Bowman, Dan Fika as well on the show today. And we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another and be a force for good in the community. And thank you so much for supporting this show, the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.